In today's episode, I'm interviewing Majid Hashmi, who's the founder and CEO of Bridging Connect. Majid, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, highly. Thanks a lot for having me in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. So, Majid, we met online through a mutual friend who
Yeah.
connected us. You're actually based in the UK, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I'm from London.
Nice, nice, nice. But you do have some sort of connection to Japan as well.
Yeah, so I visit quite Japan quite often. Well, I've been going there very much every year. And that friend you're talking about is he's called Paul. So we were at this event in Yokohama, and
Mm,
then when we spoke there, I was introduced to a lot of people there, and we met through like LinkedIn. It was a mutual connection as well.
nice, nice. So, what brought you to Japan all this time, going back and forth?
Well, the thing is, I've always liked Japan since childhood, and my when I first came to Japan, I was 23. Right now, I'm 31, so I think it's over 10 times now. But it's been a mix of just coming for travel, and then I ended up meeting some business professionals whilst on my travels, and then which led me to pretty much make my company, and which we'll talk about in a bit, which you can ask me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait to discuss that. But before we get into that, what I want to know is, you have a background in UX design, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you got into design and I guess your perspective on as a designer on a product team?
So UX design was, I'd say, the fundamentals I've always been interested in, like concept design. I've always liked to create something by myself. My background was in actually animation, and which transitioned to a developer. So I was actually a front-end developer before a UX designer. And then the thing about having being a developer is that you're working in a agile team, you're working with other people, and you don't have anything to say. You're just a person who codes. So, but I just wanted more control. So I just ended up going on YouTube, looking up some free courses, studying by myself the fundamentals, like learning Figma. There's another software called Adobe XD. This was
Mm.
used back in the days, and I just started to look into it, and I made some portfolios just by looking at other people. So basically, a redesign of a company's website. I did some free work for people, just having the making the Shopify stores, e-commerce store, making the prototypes, so showing the whole journey, like from making the Figma design, the Shopify store, and then just having some case studies,
Mm.
and then just did my job search, and there's always companies who want someone urgent, like they
Right.
want someone as soon as possible. So I managed to get a position, and then after that, I worked as a lead UX designer in an automotive company.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I was pretty much I was redesigning their main platform, so it was a SaaS company. So they were like a think of as Uber but for car rentals. So they have their
Okay.
own platform for B2B people where they all partner with all the rental fleets companies, and they're just this one platform. So I came in and just redesigned it by talking to users and so on, and redesigned the platform. And yeah, that was just something I was doing. So pretty much hands-on and coming up with it. So that's just how I did it.
Nice. Nice. Nice, man. Yeah, not every day do we hear people who are, start off their career as front-end developers and then go into design, right? It's like two different sides of the brain are, at work there. How did you like that transition?
I'd say I've always been a person who wants to create things. So when being a developer, what I liked about the developing side is just creating something. So what I realized is that some people they like to code, like uh they just like they like the thrill of like coding something. But for me, it was the actual design aspect. And then I
Mm,
realized I really like coming up with new ideas, new concepts. So I should
mm,
go into something that's more creative. And UX design is kind of that. You've got the design part of things and the websites, apps, design, code kind of things. And it's just but yeah, UX design, I believe back in, let's say 2010 or even before that. It wasn't as popular that before.
Mm,
When I got into it around, it was like 2021 or something. There were a lot of roles there, so it's um I worked before in agencies where I had to do everything, like come up with the design, but it was just wireframes on a pencil, like
right.
pretty much, and then come in with an actual design. But yeah, it's I've always liked to be a creative person, so yeah, that's why I chose to be a UX designer.
Were there any challenges when you made that transition?
Yeah, it was just the learning curve, but when you're a developer and you already know everything, like how well Flexbox is, for example, and how Figma then decided to implement those features later on, like auto layout and everything. I mean, that's just in Figma software. Yeah, it was quite easy because I understood all the stuff like margin, padding, and everything, and you just translate that in the design. But in terms of the design, I'd say the challenging part, there wasn't anything really challenging, but it was more about finding out what the user wants. So what
Mm,
the user wants and what the stakeholders want, the company, and kind of bridging that gap,
yeah,
telling them, look, this is what the user wants, this is what the company wants, and this is what we want. So this type of understanding, bringing that to the people, I mean, the people in the company, was a bit challenging, but at the same time, with enough justification, because, design is subjective.
right.
So you can, if you have a good explanation, yeah, it's all good. So
Let me ask you on that.
yeah,
Obviously, there's, product managers also deal
yeah,
with trying to sell different ideas to the business as the whole based on what
yeah,
users want, right? Did you ever
yeah.
find yourself in talks with product managers, or did you were on a team with a product manager where you guys were at odds, or how did that work?
So I've actually never been in a team with an actual product manager being
Mm,
there. When I used to work in a agency and so on, it was just like a very fast-paced one. This was like one of my first roles when I was, when I graduated, and they wanted me to just do everything, as you know, like startup
yeah.
agencies and so on.
Mhm.
So with that said, there really was no time for like full-on high fidelity prototype. It was just wireframes like on a paper and then bringing it into Figma and then quickly just making it. So there wasn't anyone direct to report to. It was just a person, like I'd say, just the manager, the direct
Mm,
manager, not the product manager. But and the company I was with in like the full-time role I was doing with the automotive company, there was actually there's like a head of product, but no actually product manager role. So my role was technically a product manager too, but it was like hands-on one because the role itself was lead UX designer.
yeah.
So being that said, they wanted someone who's hands-on, who's not hands-off, but at the same time is leading kind of the design narrative and have been talking to the developers.
Yeah,
So
definitely a P.
that's
Sounds like
pretty
a
much what I was
PM
doing.
role. Yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely sounds like you had some PM duties as well, right? And
yeah, pretty
that
much.
often
Yeah,
happens. That often happens, right? When, even product managers that are in the
yeah,
role, they kind of feel like their role isn't so defined, and that
yeah,
can lead to a lot of confusion, right? So,
yeah,
yeah. It sounds like it. It sounds like it definitely happened to you. But, um, for your current position now, you're trying to
yeah,
found your own company, or you have found your own company,
yeah.
right? What led you to that point?
I'd say, yeah, there's like the design aspect to it as well, where yeah, all that design, those design jobs I've done helped me come up with ideas and understanding how companies work because I worked in startup companies and then working in some big companies as well, companies that got investment, so all that experience. But the main desire is to have something for myself
Mm,
and pretty much to do what I want to do. I mean, that's just one thing I realized from yeah, pretty much, when you work for a company, you understand that, oh yeah, I can't see. It's just I couldn't see myself being in a company for a long time.
yep. I
And
know
then
exactly what you mean.
yeah, that's just one of the things. And the other thing is, we know. as designers or anyone who's from a design background or you a creative background, we all have this burning desire to make something, create something by ourselves. Because when you work for a company, you're told what to do, or you have to basically create something based on the company's requirements, and you're just an asset, basically.
Mhm.
So so I wanted something more. So that's just one thing. But yeah, the second thing is whilst going to so I can just talk about the company about what we do. And I when I left my job, I started to freelance and I started to just do whatever the UX design side design. So not just UX design, but all the stuff I've learned throughout the years, like design, marketing, whatever I can. And I just thought, well, I can't do, I can bring in people. So I've got a digital consultancy as well. So that's how I started off with. And then the company with the Bridge and Connect, we I started on last year. So it was last year, August. And this was us being in Japan and seeing so many entrepreneurs there, so many people there wanting to connect, and mainly Japanese people, and not just in Japan, but in Korea as well. So I've stayed in Korea for about more than 4 months.
Mm.
And so I've been to the Gangnam district. So that's basically their Shibuya in a
Mhm.
way, or
Mhm.
their business
Mhm.
area there. Yeah. So I've been to the Wall Street of London. I've been to the Wall Street of Japan. I've been to the Wall Street of Korea, and I've seen like there's lots of people there who want to like make connections and so on. And even the native people, like the Japanese people, they like language barriers. They want to talk, but they're not confident enough and so on. So that's just one of the things that we'll also try to solve, that we'll be creating a platform to do that, a platform to connect professionals, business organizations to connect with each other, and not just people from UK and Japan. It's especially pretty much the whole West and all the East. And we are also offering consulting services. So that's like digital services, which I talked about, design services. We can
Mhm.
help people localize and so on. And yeah, we will also have a consultancy service where we can offer like market expansion and so on. So that's just basically three parts of the company. And we recently helped LG, so it's like one of their brands called H&H, a
Yep.
cosmetic brand. So they wanted some assistance with localizations. We just helped them with one project. And that's just what we've done on milestones for the consulting side of things. So
That's awesome, man.
we still have the digital agency, the design aspect of the company. So that's just called Bridge and Connect Digital. And then we
Mhm.
have Bridge and Connect platform, which will it's going in development. And then the consulting side. So yeah, that's just the overview.
That's exciting, man. Yeah. So, I can tell you firsthand that this is a need. There are lots of Japanese who want to expand abroad, but then
Yeah.
they don't have the language, they don't have the
Yeah.
capabilities of doing it, right? They don't have the platform to do it. How are you planning on addressing those concerns, like those language concerns?
So the platform itself, it's when there'll be some options where you can basically turn on this feature called auto translate. So meaning whatever they put in their language will automatically translate into whatever language, the target language. And that's just one base. And yeah, pretty much we can also register via LinkedIn. So if you're a LinkedIn user, because we're mainly looking at people who use LinkedIn and so on. So if you're using LinkedIn and so on, you can register by your LinkedIn. You don't need to
Mm.
register from scratch. So it's just stuff like that.
Mm. Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, I know that one of the problems here in Japan is that there aren't that many Japanese on LinkedIn. I think there's what, like,
Yeah,
I think it's 4.9 million only.
yeah, that's right.
It's a
Yeah,
very low number compared to how many people live here. Most of them
yeah.
use Facebook for
Oh
networking.
yes, I heard of that.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Or other social platforms like Line and like
yeah,
Eight or something like that.
yeah,
But yeah, I think that if you're able to bridge that gap
yeah,
language-wise, it would make it a lot
yeah.
easier. The other aspect, I don't know if you thought about this, is culture, right?
Right.
How do you plan to address those concerns, especially online? I know that a lot of Japanese, for example, don't like to put themselves out there
Yeah,
uh, in terms of having their profile public,
yeah,
They're afraid that their
Yeah,
boss will see and that they'll
yeah,
be disloyal. They don't want recruiters calling them. So I
yeah.
guess what would your target be, and how would you, I guess, address those cultural concerns?
Yeah, that's a good question there, and that's something we thought about as well. So compared to how the West is, like we can use LinkedIn, even like social media. You can just see like everything like from in social media, whether it's business or
Mm.
casual, like even for dating or whatever, like they put like pictures of like flowers and stuff. You could say some of them like they'll put picture random placeholder images and so on.
Okay.
But we give the option for being anonymous, meaning you are verified, but you're anonymous, meaning you can on LinkedIn there are lots of privacy options as well. So we were offering that as well. And that's one thing that where people when they're in a company, even LinkedIn sometimes they don't want their colleagues to even they don't want to add their colleagues because at the end of even though it's a business platform, it's another way of them just keeping a track on you. And yeah, we give options to do that, to be autonomous, being anonymous and yes, we do give that option of that.
That's good. Yeah, privacy is definitely a concern for Japanese at least. I'm sure with Koreans and others as well.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, that's good, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to testing out
Yeah.
the prototype. It would be good. There's a lot of localization
Yeah.
experts here that help companies enter the Japanese market and help Japanese founders exit, to globally. So there's a need there, right? It
Yeah.
sounds like that your platform or your company also does a lot of consulting, right?
Yeah.
Is it mostly for companies, Japanese companies or, Korean companies that want to come to the UK, or do you help them if they want to go to other markets as well?
Yeah. So it's basically vice versa. It could be people from UK who are interested in going east or international. It could
Okay.
be, like I said, where uh, we did a project with a big company like LG. We helped them with one of the projects because they got many brands and so on. So how we work is we've got the platform side of things that's again that's going to be released later, and we offer services. We offer digital and consulting services. So that's the
Mm.
digital services where we do all the creative stuff. Like I still got that design passion in me, so I'm still continuing the agency. I've just merged my what I was doing a freelance and merged that into the company. So we help with digital stuff, whether we need the website done or we you need some UX redesign, you need some so all the typical creative agency stuff we do that. And the consulting side is just pretty much just understanding what they need.
Mm.
And yeah, we just have like a initial free consultation and then we ask the person what they want. And then based on their needs, we offer them solutions, what we can do and how we can help them achieve what they're looking for. So it could be they want a website, a localization, they could just need support. So it's based on this
Mm.
stuff. So so it's basically yeah, we would just operate like one would be product based and two service based. And that's just
Nice.
how it is.
Nice.
And yes.
Nice. How big's the team?
So right now we have me as a founder, and right now we have about 5 people right now.
Awesome, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it sounds like if you started it just last year and it's been growing pretty steadily, so that's great. When are you planning on moving to Japan, or what's your situation? Yeah.
Yeah. So for Japan, I already have a work visa, and
Oh, nice.
I
Exciting.
yeah, but yeah. So I was looking to come around like this time. So it was around May time, but well, I'm going to be looking into it's a bit. I'd say from anywhere from May to July time. So around any time around there. So it could be next month or whatever. Just looking into my plans for that. But yeah, I'd like to come to Japan and meet some people, and of course we'll get some time, and then I'll meet some other people. It would be nice to see Japan again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're just going through the sakura season here. They're fading away
Yeah,
as we speak. So, yeah, it's the weather's getting great. It's going to be a great time to come here for sure. So, I have a question with regards to your background and
Yeah,
being a startup founder. How do you
yeah,
think being obviously a developer, a
yeah,
designer, has
yeah.
helped you become a startup founder?
Well, one thing is when you, especially I'd say when you come from any background, which is a creative background, you understand the process of ideation
Mm,
to actually making it. And going through that, especially when someone's a UX designer, I believe people who've done UX design or any some sort of creative design, they can be startup founders easily because they have this tendency to go out, research something and put it on the whiteboard, make something and then make that into in reality. So for me, it was just the same thing. It's all just started by writing notes. And then from that, you just make a mood board, just like how we designers do. We make a mood. We have to get pictures, we put them there. So that's what I did. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew what felt right. And just based on that, I went there. So this is just I'd say this is my second business venture. Well, before, whilst I was at university when I was studying, I was just doing stuff like teaching English
mm,
freelance and also just selling stuff on eBay, like reselling. So that's just that it gave me a little bit business experience, I'd say. So I wasn't afraid to do something. And just see like, yeah, if you do something, what's bad, what's the worst gonna happen? There are no negative things that come out of it because you learn something. Whether something works or not, you learn something and you grow as a person. So yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree. I actually started my startup journey 2 years ago and I haven't looked back, man. Have
Yeah.
varied success, but it's all a learning process. And as a UX designer, especially, being able to empathize with your customers is super important, right? Um, you brought up something about control, and I want to just push on you a little bit,
Yeah, sure.
right? So you said that when you quit your job originally, it's because you didn't want to, work for somebody else anymore. You kind of
Yeah.
wanted to create your own thing and have that control. As a UX designer, a founder, right? How do you feel? Do you feel as in control as you want to be, knowing that the customers are the ones that give you the feedback? What do you think?
Yep. So yeah, that's again a good question about that. So the difference between, I'd say, working for a company is like if you work for a company, whatever you're doing, whether you have a boss and so on,
Yeah.
you have to listen to the boss, you have to listen to the rules and whatever based on because you're in the company. So you either leave the company or you stay in. And if you stay in, you have to just ignore all the stuff that comes with it, all the negative aspects and so on. That's one thing. But when you work, when you're whether you're freelance or you work with a company or you have your own company, you can choose your clients. So whoever you work with, you can even choose the style you're working. So let's say you get a design brief, whatever, and they want things their way. You can edit the proposal. You can be like, hey, we can't do this at this time. You can negotiate terms for
Mm,
the contract. Once you've signed the contract, then you do it. And again, you're in control. And based on whatever they do, you can write terms and whatever. So if you write stuff like, yeah, if there's any inconsistencies or whatever, then this you'll be charged this much or whatever. You could put your own clauses there. So you get this power of doing that with
mm,
compared to for a company. So that's why I'd say we can, yeah, they do say, yeah, some people do say that, yeah, when you still have to be like someone is still like you're still under someone where if you're a full-time job you're under a boss and if you're freelance or you have a business you're under the customer but the difference is we can choose our customers but
absolutely.
when you're in a company you can't choose a boss for my like I'll just give you an example well when I was at the automotive company the it was a fully remote role well actually it wasn't it started off as a it was a so I'm based in London and the job
Mm,
is in north of UK. You could say the Sendai of UK, which is
okay.
Leeds. Right? That's what we call it because UK in Japan is similar. So this was during like Corona was just coming down or whatever, and then they were asking me to come to the office. But there was this manager there, and he was quite a nice person, and we got along. He was very like he just said, yeah, you do whatever you want. I'll just change your contract to remote work. He was very just back hands off, and because he trusted
Mhm.
and why. So that's one thing that's like when bosses, when they are like leaders, when they actually trust you to do your job, it's
Mm.
all a good relationship. But just like Sakura season, all good things come to an end. But yeah,
Yeah, that's
he he left or something, and then they got this other person in, and as you know, he wasn't same person.
mhm.
So yeah, we had some things where so I did have experience in having a just someone who's a leader and someone who's trying to be a boss.
I see.
So
Yep. I've definitely had that in my career as well. Most people don't quit the company, they quit their boss, right?
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
The company is just a brand, it's just a company, but it's the people running
yeah,
it that make it good or bad, right? So 100%
yeah.
agree. Yeah, absolutely. So what does success look like for you?
So again, another good question. So success, it all just depends on what the person wants. I mean, some people want to be famous, some people just want peace, some people just want enough money so they can retire. Defining that success is very important because if someone just wants a lot of money, what's a lot of money? I mean,
Mhm.
if some of you have a house, you have a family or whatever. I mean, it depends on what's enough for you. Success, but for me, success is having freedom to do what I want,
Mm,
to enjoy this time I've got right now. Like I'm 31 right now. In 9 years, I'll be 40. If
yep.
I'm 45, I'll have money. If I'm 50, I'm not saying anything negative about people who are 50 or whatever, but I'm just saying in general, if I'm 50, I won't be the same in terms of I am right now. So I want to enjoy this time I've got because that's the time is the best luxury we have right now.
Right.
So success for me is just doing what I want to do, that I want to do one day and just do it now, today. Like make that
Mhm.
one day to day one. So and at the same time having that balance to just forget everything, just turn off the laptop, whatever, just go out, go gym, go in the nature, watch the birds, go with someone special. It's like success for me is like again like just like you got mountains at the back of your picture. We're
Right.
climbing a mountain, like we're climbing Fuji-san, right? Let's imagine that. And when we're climbing Fuji-san, sometimes we gotta stop and just have something to drink and eat and enjoy the view.
Mm.
So, and then when you recover, you can still continue at the top. So that's how I see it, is the balance of that. So
What I'm hearing is that, you want to be able to enjoy the time you have now, whether it be
yeah,
something big like climbing a mountain or something
yeah,
small, for example,
yeah,
like, watching the little things in life as well.
yeah.
Having a balance, and that's good. That's very noble, man. I think I have a very similar kind of view of success.
Yeah, that's
Mine
pretty much
is
it.
like to not have any regrets when I,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's a good basically goal to have. I mean, no one wants to have regrets. No one wants to have
Exactly.
regrets.
Exactly. We got to make
Yeah.
the most of our time now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So what's the thing that we didn't talk about that you think we should have talked about?
Yeah, we can touch about, you mentioned some problems in Japan, like for example, we touched about the privacy issues, for example.
Mm,
We just a little bit about that. There was this I was just going through some videos on YouTube and stuff, and I saw that again, like how you mentioned that some Japanese people are very, I'd say, they want to they've when they're at work they feel pressured to be in a company, and some people they don't leave the job because of they feel like they owe the company their life.
yep.
And there's been a case where I looked into this YouTube video, which I was saying is that some people are very scared to even leave the job, and they get this agency to call the workplace to give them a notice. So because sometimes these people who want to resign, especially a female, the boss would try to, harass them over the phone and be like, "Oh, why are you leaving the job?" and so on. So they give to this consultancy which call them in their
Yeah.
behalf, like, "Oh, Miss, I don't know, Himeko wants to leave the job." So because they know it's a third person, they won't shout, they won't do anything. They'll be professional.
I've heard of this
So,
before. I've
oh,
heard of this.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I was thinking that's just wow. I mean, this is a nice market to touch on as well to help people like that, but it's kind of at the same time very sad to see the reality of that that people have to resort to that. So yeah, you could just maybe we could talk about what other problems have you seen in Japan and not just in Japan, but East Asia in general, if you've been to Korea or China as well.
Mhm. No, obviously in Japan and Korea, there's a
Yeah,
huge population decline. And part of the reason is that, obviously men and women, they're working. They don't have time to have babies. They don't have time to raise families, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
the cost of living and the
yeah,
cost of raising children is a huge problem, especially in Japan and in Korea.
yeah.
So it's like, 50 years from now, there's not going to be any more Korea potentially, South Korea. It's going to be gone. I watched a video last night about
Oh
that,
yeah, that's that one.
you know? So how do we address that? How do we get people to see this issue and how do we address it? Is it going to be AI agents taking over all the work that these people are currently doing? Is it going to be
Mm,
actual like foreign workers coming in here and helping out, right?
yeah.
What do you think?
When you said about there's less people and stuff, we might go slight off topic there a bit, but it just to touch upon it, like with AI stuff, there's already people not just in Japan, but everywhere using AI for companionship. But in Japan, you'll see that more probably,
Yeah. Yes.
that type of stuff. So with that said, and yes, of course, you could see that there will be a rise of people, foreign workers and stuff like that to come in. So that's one thing. But yeah, that's just what that's basically the biggest problem that both countries have about the population stuff. Yeah, because it's on a decline, and we knew that from statistics and stuff, and it's just like a yeah. I mean, there's always problems to. I mean, whoever's building a startup or whatever they want a solution, if they're going to do something in that area, that's also a good thing to look into. So
Honest,
I don't
there's
know.
not enough. There's not enough happening, man. Honestly, like
Yeah,
because usually startup founders are a bit younger and we
yeah,
care about things that are exciting, like, all this type stuff. Uh,
yeah.
Setting up nursing homes and setting up like elderly care things, not that exciting, right? But that's going to be the biggest industry here and in South Korea in a few years' time, honestly. I'd say in the next
Mm,
20 years, there's going to be more old people than there are young people by a long shot. There already is. There's a huge difference. I was living in Vietnam before this.
yeah,
In Vietnam, there's like 5 kids for every 10 adults or something like that. It was crazy, man.
yeah. It's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, when I came here, I was so shocked about how many old people you see outside on the street. And it's not
mm.
just because I live in the suburbs, in the city as well. You see so many old people still working well into their 60s. So I don't know. Hopefully this problem does get addressed with technology or with more immigration, like open immigration policies, but I'm really worried about Japan.
We could see it happening. Like think about like a meteor coming to Earth. Yeah, like imagine that. Yeah. And then there's people that thinking about like how can we help it? Like how can we stop it? And if it can't be stopped, how can we just reduce the impact?
Hmm.
Meaning, how can we like send some up there so they can hold it off for a few years? So I'd say doing anything like that, thinking of ideas to help with that. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, this is one of the things that the the Japanese government are doing. What I just read about, they built this dating app to help the. It's like their own like government funded dating app. So that's just one aspect. So I'd say
Super exciting.
market in terms of social dating, whatever, and even what we're doing, like about making this platform to connect people, which will help that cause
Hmm.
in business aspect. Because again, if there's more business, there'll be more people coming in. So anyone who's in that market is assisting that kind of will help
So,
reduce that. I'd say because if there's more people coming in for business reasons, social reasons, anything, whether it's dating, business, or whatever, it can bring in more people to country. So whether it's
100%.
tourism, whether it's dating, whether it's business, whatever. So more of these things, yeah, they would help. But I don't have I cannot say that the meteor will hit 100% definitely. Maybe it will, maybe it will not, but we could always reduce the impact of that. So that's basically about the population shrinking and stuff.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, I think that your company will definitely help in that, and I'm looking forward to having it, actually using it. It would be very useful, I think, for some of the people in my network. So, looking
Yeah.
forward to the beta. All right. So, Majid, we have a closing tradition on this podcast where the last guest has left you a question, and you will leave one for the next guest. Are you ready for that
Okay.
question?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, cool. So the question left for you is, what do you love most about yourself?
So what do I love?
Not like,
Yeah.
what do you love most about yourself?
What I love about myself is that if I put my mind into something, I can do anything. And the only thing that's stopping me is my mind itself. That's it. No external people, no no things, no this. So it's basically I've accepted that yeah, I can do anything, and that's what I love about myself.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
the power of the mind, people just don't
yeah,
realize. I read a
yeah.
really good book called Limitless by Jim Quick. Have you ever read that book?
Oh, I heard of the title, but I haven't read of
Dude,
it.
you'd
Yeah,
love that book. You would
yeah,
absolutely love that book. I highly
yeah,
recommend you should read it. 100%, man. Basically is like talks about unlocking our mind's full potential.
yeah,
And one of my biggest takeaways from there is the lies we tell ourselves.
yeah.
LIE, limiting ideas entertained. And how,
Yes, yeah,
some of the things that we tell ourselves is actually just false. And we just need to reframe it to unlock ourselves. So, highly recommend it. Definitely a
yeah,
great book that you should read. So,
yeah. No.
Majid, now it's your turn. Please give a question for the next guest.
What self-development book have you read, and how it helped you with your life? So
Oh,
let's
perfect. That's a
let's
great
do
one.
that.
I like that.
Yeah,
Awesome,
yeah,
man. Well, Majid, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I learned a lot about your background. I learned a lot about you, and I'm really looking forward to Bridge and Connect coming here to Japan and being available. If my audience wants to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
yeah. So you can uh, you can go to my website bridgeandconnect.com. You could see a link of my LinkedIn there, email there. You can send me an email there to connect up. On LinkedIn as well. If you search my name, it'll come up.
Awesome.
And yeah, that's it. So I'm just there.
Cool. I will link all that in the description below as well. It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
All right, Lee. Yeah, so thanks a lot. I really appreciate your time. Yeah, it was lovely.
That's
Yeah.
a wrap for today's episode of the Product Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want to share your PM stories, challenges, struggles, or insights with us on a future episode, please get in touch with us on LinkedIn. We'd love to have you on and keep this conversation going. Until next time, happy building, everyone.